This is the head-to-head presented by GMC. We are professional grade. And Greg Sutton, if you look at the form in recent times, just 2 points for Montreal from their last 6.
Yeah, and I think you look at that bottom stat there, and it's that 14 goals allowed. That's been such a challenge for this team. So here at home, they've been pretty good at not conceding, so they're going to have to keep that form up.
That is a look our head-to-head ahead of Montreal and Houston Dynamo. Chris Whittingham, Greg Sutton here for the commentary. Hernan Losada in the technical area without the glasses. You don't see that very often from the Montreal gaffer. And he feels like this situation is exactly where Montreal want to be. Still ahead of expectations given the preseason predictions after all the changes. And let's get into the starting lineups for these two teams. 3 changes from the team that lost away in Orlando. Joel Waterman, Quadro Opoku, and Ariel Lassiter back into the side.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at Fernando Alvarez getting only his second start for this club in the back, replacing Gabriel Corbo, who's out with that suspension. But of course, yeah, it's the top 3 that all these Montreal fans will have their eyes on, trying to have that opening goal in their favor.
Mahala Opoku back and fit. Meanwhile, for Houston Dynamo, making a ton of changes from the weekend. 8 in total. Only Steve Clark, Teenage Hadebi, and Artur stay in the lineup.
Yeah, real luxury for Ben Olsen. And I think what I like about this team is they attack with numbers, and I think it really stems on that right-hand side with Griffin Dorsey getting himself involved quite often in the attack. And this is what can make this Houston Dynamo so difficult for any team.
And Ben Olsen in the technical area, his first season, he's got a trophy and could potentially push for a top 4 place in the Western Conference if they can get something here today. He's been working backwards, he said, from the game against Colorado on Saturday in terms of managing the squad. They feel like if they win that game against Colorado, they'll be in a good spot in the Western Conference, but still want to get something here tonight away from home. We talk about the struggles of Montreal away from home. Houston themselves have only won 2 games on their travels all season. They've gotten a lot of their damage done back at Shell Energy Stadium in Houston, but a cup in the bag, confidence soaring. And he was mentioning ahead of this one as well the professionalism of his team. They brought in a lot of winners into this team in Houston from previous stops, both domestically and abroad, and he feels like that professionalism really put them in good stead. You see the evidence of it at the weekend when they get a result, despite having just won the cup 2 days earlier. Short turnaround, get the 0-0 at home against Dallas. As we're underway, CF Montreal, their push for the playoffs, entertain Houston Dynamo. Montreal coming off yet another lopsided victory away from home last time out, a 3-0 against Orlando City, an own goal of Jonathan Sirois. After Dancer, Halson, and Torres on the score sheet. It's long-distance effort, early stages there from CF Montreal, not really turning into much. Mathieu Chaudière having a go. Right of target.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and get Romell Quioto involved in this game early. Obviously, there just an opportunity for the striker just to kind of get his feet wet a little bit as well. And I mentioned this is his first start at home, and a welcome start for all these fans that have been really just dying for someone to take this team by the scruff of the neck and lead them forward. And he's done that last year, and they're going to hope that they can do it in the ending part of this season here.
Chaudière going direct and quickly. It comes to Romell Quioto in the area. That save required there from Steve Clark. 2 shots in the opening minute for Montreal. That one far more dangerous from last year's top goal scorer.
Well, he almost did it, didn't he, right there? It's a fabulous save by Clark there in the end, and it's a great opportunity just to, placed ball by Mathieu Chaudière into the path of Romell Quioto and hits it with power, but just not able to squeeze it past Clark.
Romell Quioto missed 4 months with an injury. Made the starting lineup at the weekend, only fit to play 45 minutes. We'll see how long he'll go here tonight. This massive game for Montreal. Level for that final playoff spot. 2 teams below them, pushing for more. Here's Ari Lassiter. Up to the floor there. Will be a free kick as Luis Caicedo, the culprit there. There's our matchday referee, Rami Touchant. Greg Dubka is in the VAR room. Any decisions need further examination. Just to illustrate how difficult life has been for Montreal away from home. 2 wins, 2 draws, 12 losses on their travels. Scored 9, conceded 38. 38 conceded is an extraordinary figure. Here at Stade Saputo, they've only given away 10 goals, and on the season have kept 9 clean sheets. They are a vastly different team here at home. Broquiard tries the backward header. Bit awkward, but it did come for Campbell.
Well, this Houston side defensively, they'll line up more in that 4-4-2 traditional formation just to defend with that block of 8. think if the CF Montreal side is going to have opportunities go forward, it's really when their three center backs get involved high up in the attack, can provide those numbers. And so if you're Houston, it's really important that the two front players make sure that they get pressure on those three center backs. Get close to that ball, especially as it enters your half.
Campbell for Waterman, who anchors the back three for Gabriele Corbo. Picks up a suspension just as Waterman was coming off of his. Lassiter square for Saliba. His touch forward was a bit too heavy, but Lassiter can recover. And Broguiar lofted towards Romell Quioto. The header across the area is right at Clark. Lassiter was charging for it, but the Houston keeper well behind it.
Almost to the point where I think Romell Quioto was a bit surprised he had so much time and space there to head that ball on target. Just unable to get the power behind it.
Houston coming off of their 13th clean sheet of the season. Tied for most in MLS. The flag does go up on the far side. It will be a throw-in to Montreal.
We talked about how important it was to get the big striker involved early on in this game. He times it well here. The ball's floated into that back post area, and it's a difficult angle from that spot, but good recognition there by Zach Broguiar to find Romell Quioto on that back post. Hernan Losada will be happy to see Quioto getting involved early.
Coming off of 15 goals and 6 assists last year. He's only started 7 times this year. Montreal in general have struggled to score goals. 30 on the season. Top goal scorer on 4. He's really stepped up to fill the void either. Managed to put together enough results at home to get to this stage and still have a chance to make the playoffs. Here's Nelson Quiñones. And Artur.
And as I mentioned, offensively, this team will build with really that 3 in the back, and we'll see Griffin Dorsey high up the field as we do right now, really pinning Ariel Lassiter back. It's one of those wing backs for Montreal. Is going to have to be responsible, knowing that Dorsey's going to find himself in high positions as he is right now.
One of the differences in Lassiter's role than at previous stops. Has to play that wing back role. Just come with that greater defensive responsibility as Saliba put himself in a spot of bother but won it back. Quioto. Putting it back for Haitian-born Zachary Broguiar. Mentioned the suspension of Gabriele Corbo for Houston. Hector Herrera out due to yellow card accumulation. Such a key figure in the middle. Another cross coming in towards Opoku, away from Ethan Bartlow. Houston about dealing with that particular danger. And making 8 lineup changes from Saturday against Dallas. Balancing the squad out. So many games in such a tight period. In particular, putting so much into that Open Cup final, which they did win. The Open Cup in 2018 and now again here in 2023. What a statement of intent for Ben Olsen and this Houston team.
Yeah, talking with Ben Olsen this week, he really mentioned kind of how enjoyable this season's been from him, from his perspective of really kind of putting the puzzles together and taking some time, and still taking some time, still trying to figure out exactly that perfect formula. But the reality of having so many opportunities and so many options to pull off the bench, and as you said, to rotate a lineup is a great luxury to have, and testament to the way this team has been built. Pat Onstad's got to take a lot of credit for that, of course. The front office, ex-Canadian international. But there's been just a real joy in this club of late. Obviously, that U.S. Open Cup victory is such a massive opportunity to put some more hardware in, which has been a cabinet that's had a lot of hardware in the past, but frequently hasn't been getting its opportunity to be filled much. But now to have that Open Cup final go their way and put another trophy in the cabinet is nice for this Houston side. But ultimately, they know that the MLS Cup is what they're looking for.
That very much was the mentality. You could say after 3 straight years of double-digit place finishes in the Western Conference that you win a trophy, you make the playoffs, it's a good step forward. But and Olsen said as soon as we won the Open Cup, there's like Hector Herrera, we're saying, what's next? Let's go finish finish in the top 4 of the playoff places. Teenage Hadebi going long up to Quinones, who had a fantastic cup final against Miami. On a penalty, absolutely terrorized DeAndre Yedlin on the day. For Daniel Steris. There's Coco Carrasquilla. Again, Ibrahim Aliou running in behind. It's a strong presence in that forward line, and now Dorsey. Forward down that right. Unable to keep that one in play. As you mentioned, Greg loves to get forward down that right side into those attacking positions.
Yeah, he does. And I think if you're Montreal, I think there's going to be some moments now where maybe you can expose Dorsey getting out of position. So as soon as that ball's turned over, can you occupy that space? And that's going to be a filling place for Elliot Lassiter to kind of fill.
There's Gabriele Corbo. Player suspended for tonight. Picking up a yellow card the weekend against Orlando. It's turned there from Saliba. It was clipped there by Caicedo. Will be a free kick.
I think there's an area that's not very deep right now. It is that center back position for Montreal. I mean, Alvarez, as we mentioned, getting only his second start. Obviously, losing Rudy Camacho in the middle of the summer there was a hole that was going to be tough to fill, and obviously also some injuries now in that position. Made it a little thin back there.
There are no central defensive options available on the bench, and Alvarez has given it away. Aliou now into the area. Has Kovacic available. He'll lay it up for the strike of Artur! Fantastically into the top corner, and on a night when Houston can clinch their spot in the playoffs, they take the lead in Montreal.
Wow, and a great team goal there by Houston, committing numbers forward. And it's going to end up falling on the foot of Artur, who's that holding midfielder. But to be able to get himself up involved in the box, be able to put the finishing touch on it, is a credit to just his work rate. You could see it started with just poor decision, turnover by Alvarez, squared across. Kovalchuk just lays it right into the path of Artur, gives no chance for Jonathan Sirois. Artur's unmarked, just walking into that box really, and he's got a simple finish in the end. Off the cross, off the woodwork, the post and in. And this becomes now a challenge for this Montreal side. Not a team that likes to play from behind. Not a team that's had a lot of success. They're going to have to find a way. And as you said, just a great opening for Houston, as they can really now taste those playoffs.
And some strike into the top corner from a player who tonight makes his 167th appearance in MLS. That is just his 3rd goal. So often in the base of that midfield, but steps forward. That's also his 1st goal for Houston Dynamo, and tonight his 40th appearance for the club in this season. Looked like a striker's finish.
Absolutely. Clinical.
Now Montreal will have to pick themselves up off the mat here.
Go back to those early chances that Montreal had with Romell Quioto and some great opportunities, and Steve Clark coming up, especially on that low left-hand save. A big moment. Here's an earlier play, and Alvarez, the youngster, as we mentioned, only getting his 2nd start for Montreal, coughs the ball up there, and then it becomes a challenge as all the Montreal players are running towards their goal. Artur able to add that extra value, as you said, that holding midfielder able to get into the box. That's what this Houston Dynamo side, when they thrive, it's when they're able to unbalance opponents by adding those extra numbers, and they did that just there.
Just passed it into that top corner. And the news here would be welcome in Charlotte, in Chicago. These other teams that are chasing the final playoff spots. Aliou, can Houston go and make it too? Kovalchuk. Dorsey back to Caicedo. And Artur. Positive start here for the men in orange. Poked away for a throw. Kovalchuk, influential in that build-up as well, joined in the summer. Top flight of football in Poland.
Yeah, really only getting his 5th start for this team, and so he's still, again, someone they're trying to figure out where he's going to be best suited. Well, that was a great opportunity to show Ben Olsen that maybe he does belong in that central area of the field, and perfect layoff back to Artur.
Talking with Ben Olsen about what his best position is. Not wide so far in his time in Houston, but gives him a chance tonight in that number 10 role, which feels like he's very well suited to.
Also, just to add that versatility is such an important thing as well. Obviously, when you have a player of his quality, to be able to play him inside and out gives that luxury early to rotate his lineup as well.
There's Fernando Alvarez. Win in the summer from Pachuca. Liga MX. There's Mahala Opoku in that forward line. His 3 goals since arriving to Montreal for that massive amount of allocation money, $1.75 million going to LAFC. Second biggest internal transaction within MLS.
Yeah, and he's taken some time to get himself kind of adjusted to this team, and now he's got another challenge, obviously playing alongside Romell Quioto, who he hasn't had that luxury to play a majority of minutes along with. So it's just that partnership still developing, and that could be a challenging thing for a team that's searching for wins here in this late stage.
Lassiter into the area. His crosses straight into Dorsey, but it will go bouncing away for a corner. Lassiter, another player trying to provide inspiration. Where's it going to come from tonight? Montreal, a rotten run of form, without a win in their last 6. It's the 1 win in 8 MLS matches coming out of Leagues Cup. Need to come from behind tonight. Corner will come for Lassiter. He shaped it out to the right side. It came off the referee, but he'll let play continue as it fell for Broguiar. Left in the air, Schwanier! He went sailing through that 6-yard box. Just couldn't steer it on target.
Well, a glorious opportunity there for Montreal. It's a great ball into the box from Zach Broguiar. We've seen this now a couple of times. Matthew Schwanier coming out of that midfield area. The intent really just to trouble the goal, and he's just unable to hit the target. You can see the amount of numbers that Montreal's got in that area there to fill that opportunity. Just goes begging.
Artur keeping everyone onside from that cross in. Campbell steering it out of play. A few players brought in to introduce next generation after the big sales of the summer, or the winter I should say. Mihailovic and Alistair Johnston and Ismail Kone. Big money spent in the internal transfer market within MLS. Bolts for this.
There to be mindful of Dorsey, as we mentioned, is going to love to get up that right-hand side. Going to have to continue to track Griffin Dorsey, as he'll put those legs in motion quite often on that right-hand side.
Here's Waterman. More than comfortable taking a venture forward. Piet nicely out towards Lassiter. Clipped in towards Quioto. Later on, Opoku couldn't get there either. Just unable to keep it in play there was Broguiar. Steris happy to watch that go out for a goal kick.
Well, another decent half chance there for Montreal. Lassiter with that left foot trying to play it in behind the Houston Dynamo defense. Well, Quioto just onside there, like Barlow kept him on. There's something to be had there for Montreal. Perhaps just try to get up the 2 center backs for Houston. Just not aware really of the numbers being thrown forward from Montreal. Going to have to get help from those outside fullbacks. Sure to help insulate those 2 center backs for Houston.
Here's Waterman. Houston on the board. You see that goal from Artur smashed into the top corner. Some news coming from elsewhere. Could introduce another contender in the final MLS Cup playoff place in the East. New York Red Bulls away from home against FC Cincinnati, now 2-0 up. Frankie Amaya, Elias Manuel on the score sheet. certainly surprising result. Cincinnati just coming off of confirming the supporter shield as a yellow card will be shown to Ibrahim Aliou for his challenge on Fernando Alvarez. First booking of the match.
Well, Alvarez just perhaps holding on that ball a little bit too long there, but pays the price from Aliou. As I mentioned, you're going to see that quite often, the picture of the three center backs on the ball, and especially the two outside center backs in Alvarez and Campbell, being able to hold that ball in the opponent's half. But then it's that pass of importance, really, that threatening ball that can really unravel the team. It's going to have to be at moments where they're going to have to find Opoku, Romell Quioto in higher moments on the field, but also finding Samuel Piet and Nathan Saliba are going to also be integral in that build-up in those moments.
As Alvarez gets streaming, you have a look at Ben Olsen, the Houston technical area. It's an interesting relationship with Hernan Losada. Losada taking over for him in DC, but Olsen was still part of the organization at the time, was actually a small part of the interview process, and was the first person to welcome him into DC, gave him his perspective on the DC United squad. Losada in the nation's capital of the U.S. for a little bit more than a year before getting let go early in last season. But Losada did mention that he was looking forward to welcoming him here to Montreal, and the two have a good relationship.
Yeah, and I think it just shows the professional from Benny Olsen, how character shows through there when you are able to kind of step aside to a certain extent and help the incoming manager. And albeit at that time, Benny Olsen knew that it was a good time for him to step away from the managerial duties for a little bit, but still just gracious enough to help Hernan Losada find his feet in DC.
Came to the U.S. after managing in Belgium with Beerschot. Second job here in Major League Soccer. Known for that high-intensity direct play. See there, which leads to nothing. Fans, don't forget, you can see CF Montreal back in action on Saturday against Portland Timbers here at Stade Saputo. 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Remember, you can go to MLSsoccer.com/tickets, or you can watch the game on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Another big one, particularly Montreal can't claw it back here tonight. Their MLS history, Houston have not gotten so much as a point here in Montreal. 7 games, Montreal won all 7. Aggregate goal differential of +16 in those games. Largely taking care of business against the Dynamo, but almost inside proving again and again and again that they are a different team now. Different proposition, even after making 8 changes on Saturday. They have the early lead as Hadebi able to cut out that service in towards Opoku. Alvarez back to his feet. Top of all the home success, Montreal won away in Houston in their lone meeting last year by 3-2, of course. Very different Montreal side. Record-setting Montreal side. Wilfred Nancy. Hadebi, strong win in the air. Piet slipped, and it's back heel in the path of Quinones. Inbound into Kovalchuk, who can try and get there. He won't get there, but Sirois just about putting out that fire. Kovalchuk couldn't get a clean touch. Opportunity gone there. Quioto now to control. Sion for Chouanier. And Lassiter's first time service comes all the way through the area. Hadebi at full stretch eventually got rid. Dorsey's one inside a throw.
Well, here's this earlier look from Quinones, and really George Campbell does a good job of making it difficult for Kovalchuk there, in
defend their football, but they've given it away. Choinière into Opoku. And Saliba going for the strike. It's straight into Steres. Carded shouts for handball. Nothing doing. Now Waterman being harried there. Aliou chasing everything. Fresh legs, young legs of the 21-year-old. Under 22 initiative signing. Slowly finding his way here in Houston. He's got 3 goals to his credit. Campbell. Alvarez. Zirwa. 30th start here tonight. Regular after filling in for James Pantemis early in the season and getting that role. Broguillard and Quioto. Dorsey won it off him. Tries to volley away, but it's right to Choinière. Flicks in behind for Romell Quioto with back to goal. Turning and getting the cross away. It's right at Clark. Montreal really haven't massively threatened since the first minute of the game.
No, but they had a couple opportunities here, and I thought earlier that could have been Quadro Opoku could have shot it, but he opts to play it off to Nathan Saliba, and Steres comes across, and that was when the fans shouted for that potential handball, but I don't think there's enough in it there, that's for sure. But you're right, Chris. I think there's got to be some more moments now. Really stemming from those diagonal balls from the center backs, getting really Zachary Broguillard on the ball quite often, and then being able to play that opposite ball into the box for Romell Quioto. We've seen that now a few times. It's something that perhaps is going to be working for them going forward. I expect Houston's going to have to adjust to that, but decent signs from Montreal.
As Quinones has won it off of Campbell and charging into the area, Waterman across, able to smash it away for the Colombian, can fully barrel in on goal.
Yeah, Quinones just puts his head down and goes straight for goal there. And George Campbell does a decent job of helping, but he's going to have to rely on his center back partner, Joel Waterman, who comes across and does what you want from your center back partner. Help clear the danger.
From the throw, it comes off of Quinones and away for a throw. This time, in favor of Montreal. Houston trying to continue their remarkable form since Leagues Cup. 6 wins, 3 draws, and a loss in all comps. And the live table into second, of course, kicking off before so many of those Western Conference games. Houston home with Colorado, away at Portland to close the season. And playoff contention goes as far down as Minnesota. 6 points off the pace.
It's such an exciting time of the year when you have so many teams still in the mix, jockeying for position, just trying to get themselves in position. Montreal being one of those teams now who've got to find a way to get themselves right here, because talked about how difficult their road form has been for them, and 2 games remaining at home, this one including the weekend against Portland. 2 games you have to think they're going to have to try and get those 6 points to ensure themselves in those playoffs.
Only one touch play there from Houston, but Steres' cross is deflected away for a corner. It's a mark of the quality of the soccer played this year by Houston Dynamo. Olsen has given this team a platform, and he's got some technical, tidy players that can play and improvise, create moments of magic, even when rotating. Which is what we're seeing here tonight. Corey Baird, no Amin Bassi, no Hector Herrera.
Yeah, 3 of their top players, right, not in the starting 11, and that's what you have to think. Ben Olsen's got to be really pleased with the way this game started.
In from Quinones. Dorsey nearly got something to it. Garaskia going for it. And now Opoku fully clearing lines. Caicedo to try and keep the pressure on. His ball forward was wayward. Saliba. Nice challenge in there from Coco Garaskia. Beg your pardon, it was Bartlow. Also floppy of hair. Garaskia perhaps a bit more volume. Dorsey. Vonchuk running in behind, but gets it back with Garaskia. Nice ball in behind. Return to Dorsey. His first time cross, smashed through the area. Campbell slicing away. Caicedo, though, misreading the bounce, does about slide it back to teenage Adebi. Nice step from Piet for Montreal. They find some impetus going forward. Chouanier quickly, but Bartlow in the way. Houston now with their advantage. Try and cut out Montreal forward momentum in those attacks and really work to negate them, particularly on the break.
Yeah, they've done a good job of really getting around the ball quickly and making it difficult for Montreal to play out. That's that volume we talked about it. From Garaskia, Artur, Caicedo, they've got that volume in their lungs to be able to now get quickly to that ball, close it down, make it difficult for opponents.
Decision Day is coming on October 21st. 7.5 hours of non-stop coverage kicking off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And MLS Season Pass is bringing you all the action from both conferences all night long. Montreal will be away at Columbus. Its former manager Wilfried Nancy on the final day. Houston, as you mentioned, away at Portland. Montreal want to need a result from that game to make the playoffs. They want to get the business done here and on Saturday. Not going to plan as yet as Lassiter's cross is cut out.
Yeah, you have to think if they're able to do that, they probably will put themselves in a great position to be in those playoffs. Because yeah, you don't want to go up against your former manager at Columbus, where they've been such a good team all year long. Nancy's got them firing on all cylinders as well. Another team you don't want to meet in the playoffs.
Free scoring Columbus Crew. Here's Campbell. It's Montreal's search for goals, which continues here tonight. Decent at home. 21-4. 10 against. That's Todd Saputo so far this season. Away. 9 goals on their travels. 16 games.
See this Houston side, they'll surrender some of that possession deep Montreal's own half. But as soon as that ball enters those dangerous areas closer to that final third, see how quickly Houston's done a good job of really getting themselves around the ball.
Adebi, a strong challenge in there. Center back from Zimbabwe, who does present a selection problem for Ben Olsen somewhere down the line. Signed as a designated player. Missed 4 months due to a leg injury. And now is back and is playing well. It's lofted in behind for Brokiar, whose cutback is in towards Kwame Opoku. Clark spilled it. Got back onto it.
Yeah, another decent half chance. Stretching the back line. This Houston side, something that's challenging to do when they're sitting so deep. They're able to do that there in a moment. Get Zach Brokiar in a decent position, but just not enough pace across goal.
Kovalchuk wide for Quinones. Turns Campbell inside out. Campbell able to recover and get some help. Still the Colombian Nelson Quinones. So many methods of attack down that left. Quinones to cause problems. Carrasquilla had the 1-2 in mind, but Quinones didn't continue his run. Sirois, poor clearance there and away for a throw. Riding on this for Montreal, but yeah, played with that level of urgency. Had a couple decent opportunities in the first minute of the game, but not a ton since. Piet is recovered, and Quioto flicks, and Opoku tries to return, but didn't quite come off. Garaskia barreled into there by Sam Piet. He's going to get a yellow card for it too. Coco Garaskia got the positioning. Piet got there late.
Samuel Piet, the captain for this side. does a lot of that dirty work in the midfield for this Montreal team, and he's going to have his hands full with some of those talented players in there for Houston as well, and Karaskia being one of them. It's on the back heel there, and a late challenge from the captain.
As things stand, Houston would confirm their place in the MLS Cup playoffs. Can also do so if they draw and Dallas loses, or if Minnesota loses or draws. Lassiter. Just to poke it back to Waterman there. Montreal will go again. Sirois. As I mentioned, start number 30 on the season. Montreal's been a few years trying to solve the goalkeeping position. Hope that Sirois can provide that answer coming through the academy. On loan a couple times in the Canadian Premier League. Winning goalkeeper of the year in 2021. He's provided that answer. Piet going through there. He'll have to be careful as he just earned himself a booking.
And he goes on the backside of Kovalchuk there, and you're right. Chris, he's got to be careful now. He's getting the conversation there from the referee. And he's going to have to get some help from his fellow partners in there. Nathan Saliba is going to be one of those other guys that are going to be important to get around the ball. To take moments to share that workload. Also, of course, Matthew Choinière, who's got a lot of volume in those legs as well, to help just make it difficult for Houston in that central area of the field.
Bartlow trying to go direct. Kovalchuk to try and pick up the pieces. Piet won it. Kovalchuk went over. He's trying to win the sympathies of the referee, and they would try and get Piet sent off. As it's inbound for Quioto. The flag goes up straight away, not even affording him the chance to see if he would finish the opportunity. Came back to his feet there, or attempted to, is Kovalchuk.
Well, here's the offside call, and it's right on the edge, but I think he's just leaning into that offside position is Romell Quioto. The fans were disappointed with that call. I think also the frustration from this play here. Samuel Piet clearly gets the ball before Kovalchuk goes over. Kovalchuk's no dummy. He knows that Samuel Piet's right there on that edge, earning that second yellow and potential suspension from the game. So he's going to do everything in his power, perhaps, to make it a little bit easier for the referee to show him that second yellow, but not at that instant there.
Kovalchuk is back to his feet. Ben Olsen was even doing the universal sign for a VAR check in his technical area, finger to earpiece. Sure. A non-existent earpiece, of course. Had to be a check anyway for a straight red card offense. Broguiar launches it forward, but no one to receive it. Be a sense of frustration starting to set in. Hasn't gone their way since Leagues Cup Montreal. It looked like their position in the league table that it would be difficult for anyone to haul them back, but take 2 points from 6 games, it's a possibility. It's happening. Look at the results across the league right now. Charlotte leading at home against Toronto by 1-0. Red Bulls leading by 2-0 away at FC Cincinnati. As things stand right now, NYCFC on 38, Montreal, DC, Red Bulls, and Chicago all on 37. Charlotte on 36. Miami trying to haul everyone back from 33. It's a free kick given. Opoku taken down. Army Touchon fine not giving any further discipline.
Sequence Poku. He's going to put his head down. He's got to have to put his head down. At certain moments, you like to see him just drive towards goal. Caicedo there tries to slow him down and earns the call. But you're right, I think this Montreal side left a lot of points on the table, especially the last 2 home games. Go back to the latest against Cincinnati when they surrender that late penalty, and then against Chicago where Chris Brady, the goalkeeper for Chicago, just had a magnificent game, and nothing was going to beat him that night.
Away from Bartlow from the delivery of Quioto. Broguiar. Quioto again. To whip with more pace. Hadebi threw himself in the way. Waterman.
Montreal gets into this position here where they've got a little bit of possession. They're going to have that movement off the ball. Be dynamic. Create some pockets to be able to get that ball and turn with it. It's difficult. It's Houston side. It's really compacting that area of the field and doing a good job, really making it difficult for them to play through.
Carrasquilla towards Aliou. Waterman provides that experience in that back three, something that Fernando Losada certainly values, particularly with the departure of Rudy Camacho.
Yeah, Joel Waterman's just been getting better with age here. Every season he's played for the CF Montreal side, he's just improved over and over. And real testament just to the person he is and the work rate he puts in. And now a real leader in the back for the CF Montreal side.
Fitting into vastly different styles of play between the last 2 Montreal coaches. As free kick one on that far side yet again. Quinones going over. There's Hernán Losada. Talked about pressure being a privilege. Talked about how he wouldn't have minded being in this position at the start of the season. Montreal did get off to a very poor start to this season. Pundits talking down their expectations for such a strong season a year ago, but so much change. Feels like with a young team that's had to go through a lot. Feels like this is exactly the position he wanted to be in. 2 home games to decide your fate. It's not going as he would have hoped so far. Lassiter, fantastic switch out to Romell Quioto. Didn't control calmly, but can still get the cross away. Lassiter making the run to try to hook it back into the area away from Bartlow. Into the Montreal night sky and away for a throw-in to CF Montreal.
It's a couple times now we've seen Romell Quioto taking his position up on that right-hand side for Montreal. He's going to do that. He's going to float into different areas, but I truly believe if you're going to get the best out of Romell Quioto, he's got to live and die in around that 18-yard box. So you don't want necessarily him being the one who's going to be serving that ball into the area. You want him to be getting on the end of it.
Artur. Scorer of the goal on the day. Nice ball from Carrasquilla, and Caicedo can get there. She'll touch on it there from Waterman. See Artur directing traffic, being vocal in that midfield. Caicedo going over. Chouanier trying to provide his peace offerings, but Caicedo slowly back up to his feet.
There's going to be some moments for Houston. It's going to be important that they do possess that ball. Let them breathe a little bit as well. They don't want to have to sit and defend for another complete 45 minutes. So, of course, they're going to have to be able to get on the ball at certain moments and just keep possession and then take advantage of your opportunities on set pieces.
Carrasquilla lofting in. Header away will come for Kowalczyk. I'll just let it run out of play. Houston was fine taking the sting out of the game. Slower tempo. This suits them just fine.
Absolutely, and that's why I mentioned just having that little bit of possession. It doesn't even have to be possession with a purpose, because that possession, to be able to just kind of let yourself breathe a little bit, is just as valuable right now for them, sitting on that 1-goal lead.
Caicedo. Spotting a chance to go forward down this right, the Dynamo. 1-2 between Aliou and Dorsey, didn't quite come off. Chouanier, the initial touch, but Carrasquilla on it now. Steris. The two fullbacks will go forward that little bit less, but can here. Controlling for Quiñones. Houston with some high-quality spells of possession here. Play their way through this Montreal team. Not really causing them too many problems on the ball. Aliou with a bump in the back. Could have played on, but the referee giving a free kick. Fans, remember you can click over to MLS 360 for complete coverage of every Major League Soccer match day with live footage of every game, goals, penalties, and great saves, as well as analysis and discussion. McHugh anchoring 360 Studios tonight. Some chances flying everywhere as Artur wins another free kick.
Mentioned it earlier, obviously Houston missing one of their biggest pieces, and that's Hector Herrera, but able to now still be dynamic in that midfield and be able to possess the ball. It's just, again, just a show of depth that this Houston side has got, but also just the quality that this Houston side has.
Another free kick. Saliba guilty of biting in that time. Minutes now of Houston just in control of the game completely.
Yeah, and you have to think Hernan Losada is going to have to encourage his group at halftime really to be able to now do what Houston's doing and really getting closer to the ball when they lose it. They just haven't been able to slow this Houston side down enough.
Carrasquilla had Quiñones running, but Dorsey stood still. Wasn't going to get there. Why is there something on here for Montreal? Quioto receiving foul. Probably both Opoku and Quioto were caught. Referee not giving any yellow card for breaking up that forward move, but free kick opportunity on the stroke of halftime for CF Montreal.
Well, he does a good job of just allowing that play to continue, giving Montreal that opportunity to take advantage. See here the foul on Quadro Opoku, but he lets the advantage play, and then of course another foul there from the head beat, but perhaps a little frustration there by Romell Quioto, also just kind of being on display there, just knowing that his side is in a position where there is a lot of pressure for them to get this result.
Campbell. Minimum of 2 minutes added on here at the end of this first half. Time still for Montreal to maybe create one more chance. A strong challenge in there from Hadebi. Crowd on a Wednesday night, but not getting much to feed off of energy-wise. It's poked in behind. Opoku charging in his defense. He'll go for goal. Never really an effort that was troubling Steve Clark in the Houston goal.
No, but it's decent movement by Opoku, understanding that he can work off Romell Quioto. Try and find those spaces in behind when the big center forward drops a little deeper. Gets a half chance there. Just able to get it on target.
Seconds ticking away on this first half. Artur providing the goal. Laid off from Kowalczyk. It's right now the difference in this match. As things stand, Houston firming their place in the MLS Cup playoffs. Montreal in a spot of bother. The chasing pack in the MLS Eastern Conference. Cross into the area. Nobody there. Lassiter picking up out the other side. The cross is in. Again, Hadebi away. And there is the halftime whistle to the script that Ben Olsen would have hoped for. An early goal and largely negating the attacks of CF Montreal. Artur's goal, the difference in the game right now, as your score at halftime is CF Montreal 0, Houston Dynamo 1. Strong performance from a Houston side that rotated plenty of their starting lineup, but they've got the lead here at Stade Saputo at the break.
hurt teams, but they haven't been able to do that just because this Houston side have done such a good job of just getting around the ball in that central area of the field and making it difficult.
As they're underway with the second 45 minutes, Montreal in the blue and black, Houston, they're all orange, away from home with the result they would have wanted. Rotating a bunch of this team. 8 new starters from the weekend, and direct ball is up to Aliou. He's going to get there ahead of Waterman. Aliou is in. Ibrahim Aliou couldn't apply the finish. Waterman across, putting in the defensive cover. But a near disaster out of the break. Less than 30 seconds in, a golden chance for Houston.
One of the most vulnerable times for a team, and it's a direct ball into Aliou's path. He times it perfectly, and I think here he's got to hit it then, but he just calms and tries to just let the ball settle, and is just a little bit too patient. I think if he tries to get on that early, get that ball out of the air, wouldn't have gave that time for Waterman to come in and recover.
Big chance there for Ibrahim Aliou. 3 goals this season. Figure out if he's the answer. That number 9 position has been Corey Baird in recent times. He's performed well. Referee Rami Touchon is going to have a word here. 6-yard area. Kukaraskia, Broguiar having to be separated. Houston have won 10 of their last 11 games that they've led at the break, and now again a stoppage as Kukaraskia again going over. Broguiar, Panamanian, well acquainted there. There's that delivery into the near post. The best service in. Quioto conceding another corner. Quinones will deliver with conviction. Would normally be the job of Hector Herrera, unavailable for selection tonight. More air on this one. Steris going forward, but it's away from Campbell. As far as Artur, Quinones getting back into the position. Play that from an onside position. Now nice 1-2. Dorsey in for Artur's cross. Is cut out at the near stick there by Quioto. Kukaraskia. High ball for Dorsey, but he can recover it. There's Griffin Dorsey again. Shouts for a high boot. Referee allowing play to continue. Artur again in the area. Strong header from Fernando Alvarez away for a throw.
Mentioned Artur was fresh coming into this game. That's not correct. He was in that lineup in the last, but that was the only player in that midfield for Houston that played over the weekend from a starting position. And so, again, I think that's just been the MO so far for this Houston team, has been able to now just use that energy to their advantage. And, of course, Artur being the goal scorer, getting on the end of it as well.
Only player who's played the last 3 games, or at least started the last 3 games for Houston, Artur. The goal scorer tonight, steady as ever at midfield. Steve Clark did not start the Open Cup final. Teenage Debbie started the weekend, but did not start that Cup final. So Mendelson using the full breadth of his squad to get through this period. Right now has produced an Open Cup win, a draw in the local derby. Right now has his team ahead away from home. Is free kick given. I believe it's for offside against Houston. Montreal had long since continued their spell of play. It was a late whistle. Only free kick for Montreal in their own half. Of confusion about the tardiness of the decision.
Well, there's going to have to be urgency in this side for Montreal if they're going to get that tying goal, and what they can only hope for is that go-ahead goal. And it's going to come from them just obviously being decisive in those moments in that final third, and being able to also have that movement generate opportunities to hurt them and hurt this Houston side. Part of that introduction of Sanusi Ibrahim is what Fernando Sada is hopeful in producing some of that dynamic ability in that central area of the field closer to goal.
To that forward line. Now Kukaraskia. Quite fine Quinones. Now here's Nathan Saliba. This will be the next Montreal product to potentially be on his way to Europe. Reports from the Athletic say he could go to Belgium or to Scotland. The club's having a look. The 19-year-old. The model now here in Montreal. So want to pair it with present-day success.
I think the Ismail Kone example has opened up a lot of eyes across Europe for this Montreal side, knowing that they're producing some top-end talent. Nathan Saliba is obviously a different profile than Ismail Kone, but I'm not sure he doesn't still need a little bit more kind of maturity in his game before he can make that leap over to Europe. But he's definitely got an opportunity here in Montreal and has filled a lot of minutes for this club this year.
As Aliou has gone down, Houston are readying a change for Ibrahim Aliou. Slow to get up there.
Well, I think this stems from that earlier play right at the beginning of the half when he was in that one-on-one run with Joel Waterman and kind of looked like he had jarred his back to a certain extent as he started to hold it after that initial play. I think he realizes that he's not going to be able to continue.
What a big chance it was for him at the start of the second half, and just a big chance generally to get the opportunity to go from the opening whistle. That's some big moments for them in the Open Cup. There's Nelson Quinones, such an inspirational figure on that left side. 18 new acquisitions before and during this season for the Dynamo. Completely turning over the squad that last year finished second bottom of the West. And this year has been one of the best turnaround stories. Aliou walks off. Corey Baird is getting ready to come on here. So like for like into that forward line. Their confirmation of the change. Steris ran into trouble into two, but just about poked it into Caicedo. Choinière, that deeper role, dictate the game from that midfield area. Play all over Choinière. One of the reasons he was picked into the All-Star team for MLS. Aliou coming off there.
Here's that earlier look. We talked about it just at the beginning of the second half, and Aliou and Waterman just at the end here. Aliou just waited for that ball to bounce, and almost as if he kind of just jarred that lower back a little bit, just on a kind of an awkward play, trying to let that ball settle. Actually cost him a little bit of damage there.
Montreal going again after that initial cross. Now back to goal. Quioto receives, trying to find the window, but immediately surrounded by three. Laid off here for Choinière, trying to direct it through, and it came for the chance of Ibrahim, and still goes for the back heel. Just wasn't clean. Well dealt with by Houston in the end, but a legitimate threat there for Montreal.
Yeah, it was a legitimate threat, Chris, and it looked at first like there wasn't going to come much of it, but then the ball squirts out to Sanusi Ibrahim. Romell Quioto's the one who gets on the end of it at first, but then the ball just still left for some work to do, and Steve Clark gets himself in a position just to get himself big enough to be able to make it difficult for Sanusi Ibrahim, as you mentioned, to try and backheel that ball into goal.
Now a corner to come. The Montreal fans, chance to rise to their feet, get some noise going. Ton to cheer for so far tonight. Whipped into the area, strong away there from Hadebi. Towering presence in that defense. Deals with Choinière's corner there. Ibrahim. Choinière again. Alvarez. Lassiter. Line but given away. Now Baird to get going. Garasquilla. Oh, for the big switch out towards Quinones, but not enough air underneath it. One measure of good news coming from elsewhere for Montreal. DC United finding themselves behind away at Austin FC, currently on 37. So, hold of the shirt there of Quioto, and it does merit a yellow card there for Ethan Bartlow.
Well, Ethan Bartlow trying to argue that Romell Quioto's got a hold of his shirt. Romell Quioto probably did. Big, strong center forward for Montreal. He can do a good job of really being difficult to play against when he's able to hold that ball up. There's an example of it there. And he's in a position where it's a lot easier for the referee to see Bartlow holding Romell Quioto's jersey than vice versa.
Both players were yellow carded in the first half, have since come off as subs. Aliou and Piet. Now a chance down this left. Lassiter stinging it through. Nobody on the near post to cause Steve Clark a problem. Was hit strongly, but fairly straightforward for the Houston keeper.
It's another decent half chance. Ariel Lassiter with that strong left foot. He's got to be able to pull that across goal. Give his teammates a chance to get on the end of it. Steve Clark has had to come up big in a couple moments and has done a decent job.
On to 12 clean sheets for the season, Steve Clark. His 37th season. Broquiard into the penalty, the strike from Ibrahim. Just a bit wayward. A few of these efforts from Montreal tonight, not even really testing Clark from longer distances.
No, you're right, Chris. They've got to be able to trouble Clark more, and again, it's just been the difficult angles they've had to deal with. Just the defending that Houston has done a pretty good job at showing them outside, not allowing them to turn into the inside towards goal, and giving their goalkeeper a better angle to deal with the ball, but also making it a little bit more challenging for the forwards to be able to get their foot around it.
To the mentality of this Montreal side, a goal behind in the chase for the playoffs here at home. Bernardo Sada talking in the week about trying to get rid of any negativity around the club with the poor run of form. This is an opportunity. The club and the organization should be proud, he said. Quinones trying to put Campbell in a spot of bother here. The cut inside does allow Campbell, the former Atlanta United center back, the chance to recover. Kovacic going down, free kick. Nip at the heels there from Opoku. Free kick from a fairly dangerous position here right at the corner of the penalty area.
Yeah, Quadro Opoku's fortunate that it is outside the penalty area. Kovalchuk just showing his class and experience there, able to just keep that ball between himself and Quadro Opoku and earn that free kick. As you mentioned, in a real dangerous positions, it can be a position where this can either be a direct shot on target, but Jonathan Sirois is going to have his challenge with, as you can expect, a lot of Houston players that'll be running directly across his frame, which becomes a challenge for a goalkeeper. Do they stay and wait for that ball to be headed, or do you follow that track of that ball? And as you can expect, they're going to look to try and try to bend it in that far corner. And if this Houston side can get players to run across, it'll make it challenging for Sirois in goal.
Quinones' free kick is on target. That forces Sirois to work. Leaping across to his right as Quinones trying to sneak it in at that near post.
And he did try to sneak it into that near post, you're right, and it was a good save by Jonathan Sirois. He had to be ready for it. Able to see over his wall, which can always be a challenge too for a goalkeeper, but he does that. He makes a key save right there.
Quinones will take the swinging corner. Interestingly, he also took in-swinging delivery from the opposite side with his weaker left foot. Swinging in now with his right into the near post. Dorsey going for it. Got to head to it. Saliba just watching. Former Toronto FC right back. Nodded away. Dorsey slightly uncomfortable after that header. Fans, don't forget, you can see Houston Dynamo back in action against Colorado Rapids this Saturday at home, October the 7th at 8:30 p.m. Remember, you can go to MLSsoccer.com/tickets, or you can watch on MLS Season Pass, Apple TV, the home finale coming this weekend for both of these sides. Houston entertaining Colorado, Montreal entertaining Portland Timbers. Western Conference opponents, final two home matches of the year. Quinones about kept that one in play. Caicedo, and Baird's back heel flick into Kovalchuk. And Saliba cutting inside will switch the point of attack to Dorsey. And now the offside flag will come up. Kovalchuk was initially in an offside position.
You can see here, just as this ball's played through by Baird, tell you what, it's close, but just by inches perhaps. It's also Alvarez on that far side that perhaps he could have potentially kept him on, but I think it was just inches for Kovalchuk and that timing there to perhaps keep him in a position that they could have troubled goal.
That's why the assistants let it run. It was a very tight offside decision. Sirois uncomfortable there. Hit it out to Campbell. Quinones got there first, but Waterman getting rid for a throw. Houston nearly pressing Montreal into some trouble there.
Well, it's good work by Houston, making it difficult for Montreal, not just conceding this 1-goal lead and saying we'll just sit back and we'll just defend this lead out and sit in our own half. They've been able to get out, get on the front foot, make it difficult for Montreal even to attempt any type of build-up.
Quinones and Baird making the run in behind. Cuts it back for Artur, couldn't control, and Chouanière getting rid. Ibrahim trying to win off Hadebi. Steris directed away from the danger. Just control out of the air there from Saliba, but couldn't fully win it. Chouanière has. He's felled there by Carrasquilla, and he's going to receive a booking for his challenge.
Carrasquilla, I mentioned the Panamanian International. Did such a good job for Panama in the Gold Cup, earning him the best player of the award, best player of the tournament award, and it was just really from all that effort that he showed in the class also at certain moments. All-around player, really kind of that versatile midfielder that can play both ways, as I mentioned. Such valuable piece again for Ben Olsen.
Waterman nice, or rather Brocchiard nice header across. Ibrahim's attempt blocked away, and now an aerial duel between Brocchiard and Steris. The referee will wave on medical attention for both players involved. Here's how that challenge played out.
Yeah, there didn't look much in it, really. See, the elbow gets up from Zachary Brocchiard on Steris there. So looking at the lower part, the heels, you can see there just awkwardly kind of getting tangled there and just coming down. A difficult position for Zach Brocchiard, but he'll look like he'll be okay. Steris is going to take a little bit of time here to get himself right.
Push for the playoffs, bunching up even further with the live results. Charlotte 3-0 up at home against Toronto. They look on their way. The Red Bulls now lead by 3-0 away at FC Cincinnati. A second for Elias Manuel, doubling his previous goal tally on the season in one night. DC United 2-0 down away at Austin. Ben Olsen is getting his instructions in. Steris slow to get up. Brocchiard is already back to his feet. See Houston with a few opportunities tonight. Slow to get back to their feet here. Look at the Eastern standings live table. Chicago 0-0 with Inter Miami, and that point would take them above the line as things stand. Montreal drop below NYCFC on 38. DC United on 37 with only one match left to play at the weekend. Red Bulls on 37, Charlotte on 36. Remarkable. 2 points. 2 points separating 8 and 13. Miami still potentially with something left to say. Tonight, the first of 4 games remaining for Inter Miami. No Lionel Messi again tonight, not even from the bench. As Ibrahim attempted to be played in behind, but Hadebi will hold off his run.
Well, now as these minutes start to tick off the clock for Montreal, you expect that there's going to have to take some chances of adding a bunch of numbers forward in the attack. And Houston, of course, going to take their sweet time, but also look for potentially that counter-attacking opportunity when they do commit numbers forward. If Montreal does start to do that more often, there could be that opportunity.
Nice win there from Chuck.
Corey Barrett as well.
Now Dorsey. Nice build out from the back there. Caicedo with a strong win. Quiñones. Broquiar, at least slow him down. Opoku emerging with it. Now Montreal can get going. Switches on towards Quioto, and he'll find it. Chouanier running in behind. Hadebi going to get there first. Always has the strength to ward off. Quebecois midfielder away for a goal kick. Decision day is coming on October 21st. 7.5 hours of non-stop coverage. Kicking off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. MLS Season Pass is bringing you all the action from both conferences all night long. 14 matches to play. All the Eastern Conference games kicking off at the same time. All the Western Conference games kicking off at the same time. Should be a fun one. Seeding still very much at play. Have home field advantage in that first round and into those top 4 positions. Houston could potentially end up with one of those in the Western Conference. It's so tightly bunched. Hang on to this result. Win home against Colorado on Saturday. They'll be in good stead. Bardlow with a nice ball up to Sebastian Kowalczyk. Quiñones making the run in behind. Campbell the sliding challenge, and he won it in the judgment of the referee, but Steres is coming forward. He's played it for the Polish provider of the assist on the night. Montreal back on it. Chouanier just volleyed it forward quickly. No one in particular.
I say there's going to have to be a little bit of patience in their buildup as well. Just trying to spring Romell Quioto there. It's really a desperate ball by Matthew Chouanier. I think there's got to be some moments where they're going to have to put their foot on the ball, but also just be able to now move off the ball and provide options going forward. Add some more numbers into that attack, but do it in a fashion where they're not just kicking along and just hoping that one of their front runners will get on the end of it.
Caicedo. Now Artur, scorer of the goal on the night. By the way, we do have an update from that game in Cincinnati. In the build-up to the Red Bulls goal, there was a shout for a penalty in the favor of Cincinnati. On VAR, the Red Bulls goal was disallowed, and a penalty was given to Cincinnati, which was converted by Lucho Acosta. It's now Cincinnati 1, Red Bulls 2.
How quickly things can change, especially with that Cincinnati side that has so many weapons.
And at home now. Follow the progress of that one. Escudasquillas now charging forward. At this defense, he's got Waterman for company. Has to try and pick out Baird in the midst of 4 defenders and couldn't quite pull it off. Montreal continue to be in search of answers. Lassiter. Quioto. Here is the Honduran. Looking to pick out a cross. Broquiar arriving. He's unmarked in the area. He's got to control. Layoff for Chouanier. Artur. Fantastic covering defending there. Always reading the game. Always there at the right time. Double change being readied by Ben Olsen. At the next stoppage, Amin Bassi. Franco Escobar ready to come on. Ben Olsen wanted that change happen before the last throw-in. Cross in from Quioto, header away from Steris, and he hit it off of Opoku. And it does go rolling away for a throw-in to Houston Dynamo. Now the changes will come on. Kowalczyk will exit for the introduction of Amin Bassi. He's Houston's top scorer on the season with 9. And Daniel Steris will come off for the introduction of Escobar, so like for like at left back for the Dynamo.
Now you have to wonder if Steris still feeling a little bit of that effects of that collision with Zachary Broguillard. Escobar, as you mentioned, take up that position. And then, of course, Amin Bassi, just another threat for this Houston side, leading this team in goals. Is that option for that potential counter-attacking play, that build-up, and then just that run out of that midfield, which he can provide also, and perhaps give Ben Olsen that cushion that he's looking for.
Broguillard stands it up to the back post, but bends it out of play. Now for a goal kick. It's not quite coming off for Hernan Losada's side tonight.
We haven't seen enough of that creativity really in around that final third. It's been kind of hopeful balls, just trying to put balls in the area, but no real end product.
Baird's flick on in towards Bassi. It came off of Campbell. Shouts for handball. Been in a dangerous position as well as the last defender. Let off there for Montreal center back George Campbell. It's a poor ball there from Fernando Alvarez, and could another of his giveaways lead to a chance here for Houston? His giveaway led to the goal in the first half for the Dynamo. Caicedo and Bartlow sprays it out to Dorsey. Caicedo staying down. Referee letting the play continue as Dorsey tries to flick it in towards the area. Quite come off for him. Sirois to start another Montreal build. Just 4 goals in the last 6 for CF Montreal. Shutout again at the weekend against Orlando City. The goal is going to come from Lassiter. Right into the feet of Dorsey, who just sends it down the line. Actually managed to play it off of Lassiter to throw into Houston.
And there won't be any rush to get this ball in play. And you can see there Hernan Losada speaking with Shinoso Olfor and Lassi Lapalainen. 2 more offensive threats that he hopes can maybe change the balance of this game.
So Olfor, former Chicago Fire. Lassi Lapalainen, the former Bologna player, come in on that left side and try and provide that attacking inspiration. Down there from Artur. Garaskia. See the calmness there in the possession for Houston Dynamo. Those available options. Escobar ran into trouble. Opoku fell on it. Referee letting play continue. Bassi charging at it. Garaskia to have a strike. Alvarez stuck a boot out. It's off him last and out for a corner. Now the double change. Opoku make way for the introduction of Lapalainen, and Alvarez will make way for the introduction of 04. So a center back off and 2 attack-minded players on. Could be a shift to a back 4 here, Greg.
Yeah, you have to think that there's going to be obviously a tactical shift when you're adding 2 offensive players and you're taking off one of your center backs. And Losada understands he's going to have to make those type of changes to give himself that chance to get that tying goal, and what he can only hope is that a go-ahead goal, understanding how valuable points are at this stage.
Now Bassi swinging the corner away from Campbell. Dorsey trying to control there again for Amin Bassi. Attempted flick comes for Dorsey. Away from Waterman. A quarter of an hour remaining. Houston confirmed their place in the playoffs. Dorsey on the turn. Poke back for Carrasquilla. Gonna go for the 1-2, but has to come back. See, Carrasquilla always wants to go for the flair and for the skill. He's got those things in abundance. Campbell, though, into trouble. Baird trying to win off him. It's clean to the judgment of the referee. Corey Baird just sliced it wide of target. Campbell caught, and Houston just couldn't punish it.
Well, Montreal gets a lifeline there. Just when you think it's game, set, match, Corey Baird's got an opportunity here. All he's got to do is just turn his foot in a position where he just got to hit the target. Most likely he scores. Unable to get that angle right. Gives Montreal still a chance in this game.
Now Ibrahim and Lassiter on for Mathieu Choinière. Quioto again in a crossing position over the head of everyone.
We've seen that ball now a number of times just overhit, really not giving any of their players a chance to get on the end of it or even a chance to get a second ball. Quality hasn't been there in that final third for Montreal tonight.
Just come in the area though for Ibrahim and Quioto in a good position to have a hit. Catching practice though for Steve Clark.
Yeah, Romell Quioto gets it in a decent position there, in a decent area on the field too, but just unable to get the power behind it.
Upper here for Brochiari, pokes it back towards Waterman, but Quinones is going to get there, and Quinones is in behind. Here's Nelson Quinones, who's got to get turned now. As options arriving, Carrasquilla with the referee in the way. Houston able to turn that pressure into a big chance. Bossy now to have a strike. And on the bounce, Sirois claims, but again, the pressure of Houston Dynamo nearly creating a goal-scoring chance.
Yeah, it's a decent opportunity in the end for sure. Quinones just does the hard work, just puts his head down. Waterman gets caught, he stays on his feet, Quinones, and George Campbell just comes to the rescue just at the last moment there. You have to wonder, all these chances go begging for Houston. We hope that it doesn't come back to rue them in the end.
Barlow getting a piece, but free kick one there for Ibrahim. Choinière wants to take it quickly with Lapalainen at full stretch. Charging it behind, gets the initial touch but couldn't control it on the second. Might be a let-off there. No, maybe the referee would pull it back. Wasn't ready for the free kick to be taken.
Well, I think he is going to pull it back, but they're just arguing that they'd like to get this game going. They know how valuable the time is remaining. But in the end, probably lucky that they absolutely get another second chance, as that ball was going out of touch.
Here is Lapalainen. Campbell. And Brochiar. Keeping their position in front of them, almost into a line of 5 in defense now. Cross in towards Ibrahim. Get the touch in towards 04. Wild effort there. Able to get anything going towards target there.
Talked about this tactical change in 04 being one of those bodies that Bruno Losada wants to bring into that area of the field, and his strengths are just getting on the end of it. If you're going to provide 04 some opportunities, you're going to have to get the ball in the wide areas and just provide that quality cross. We haven't seen enough of those quality crosses from this Montreal side.
Lassiter and Lapalainen flying beyond him. Houston have it covered. Numbers behind the ball as Lassiter now can run here at Dorsey. Goes towards the byline against his former team. Cross takes a deflection, and Clark gets to tip it over his own bar. Bit awkward there. It results in a corner for Montreal.
Well, Montreal will take it in the end. Could be a challenging thing for a goalkeeper when that ball's got a lot of spin on it. Does the right thing. Steve Clark there, the goalkeeper, just seeing the ball out.
Fans by that corner urging their side to get on with it. Referee again on the hold-up play for another conversation.
See a lot of orange bodies in around that 6-yard box.
Cross swing in, 0-4 going for it, but it's Bartlow who gets ahead to it. Saliba just tried to send it forward again, but it's awkward. Sirois is nearly on the halfway line to play this one before Bossy can get to it. Volleys away for a throw. Montreal going to have to throw everything at it, and Houston totally fine defending with 11 at the moment. Carrasquia's ball a bit off. And as things stand, Montreal could see some teams go flying past them in that final playoff spot. 0 points from this game. Houston would confirm their place in MLS Cup playoffs. The live table go surging all the way up to second. Of course, with the Western Conference game still to come later tonight. Dorsey in behind for Baird, who's onside, but Saliba going to get to it first and was being harried there. It's a free kick. Not a ton of time left here for Montreal. 6 shots in the second half, but terribly dangerous at Steve Clark. Quioto coming back to play. In behind for Ibrahim, who will control ahead of Escobar. Trying to get the beating of him down the line. The challenge in from Escobar. A look at it from the referee, a look at it from the assistant. It's a corner. Quioto wants to get on with it quickly, but needs his options to get forward. Waterman and Campbell will go into the area. Swung in. Strong header away from Hadebi.
Well, we've seen that now a number of times. Just corners go begging for Montreal. Houston's done a good job of really just compacting that central area of the field, or in that 18-yard box, I should say, and just relieving the danger. Hadebi doing that job just there.
Saliba. Wasn't ready to receive there from Broguiar. Losada barking at his players to keep going, keep pressing, to get it back as quickly as possible. Still on the edge of his technical area, as far into the Houston half as he is allowed to go. Brad Smith being ready to come on as Houston's final change. Broguiar and Campbell. It is crunch time in this MLS season. Montreal got to get something from this. Draw not a massive help, but it's something. Broguiar lofted into the area. Quioto going for it. Comes to the back post, and Lassiter drives it across. Away from Bartlow. The strike from Lapalainen is blocked. Caicedo's clearance, awkward. And comes from Zachary Broguiar. Quinones sliding in. The Haitian falling over. And Quinones is going to get a booking.
Decent amount of pressure from Montreal here in these last few minutes. And Jonas just goes through the back of Zachary Broguiar. I think it's not as malicious as a challenge as Montreal's making it out to look like. You can see there, Zachary Broguiar, he knows that Quinones is going to go to ground, so he's going to make every effort to try and earn that call, and he does just that. Yeah, and he gets his piece of his left leg there for sure. And nevertheless, there's still a good opportunity now for Montreal. And you have to wonder now, you mentioned it, Chris, how good Houston has been at just clearing their lines from set pieces, especially off of corner kicks. Could there be a moment here where now they could decide to play a little shorter, perhaps play a little bit of creativity in this set piece to be able to try and drag some of those central defenders, those defenders for Houston, out of that 6-yard box area and around that penalty spot.
And Now a double change coming here for Houston. Smith on for Quiñones and Ivan Franco on for Coco Carrasquilla. Paraguayan Franco enter for Coco Carrasquilla. Referee gonna direct Carrasquilla off at the nearest available exit. He's slow to come off. 04 gonna try and help him along. Carrasquilla will stand and be not too pleased with that. And will now come off here, and Franco can enter.
Yeah, for Ben Olsen, just trying to get some more fresh legs in there. Of course, Quiñones now in the yellow card. He's got to be careful there, but again, just trying to see this result out, just adding those fresh legs in the midfield.
Lassiter and Chouanier over this free kick to come. Here's Chouanier's delivery into the heart of the area. It's header one there from Baird. Campbell trying to get to it, but it's away for a throw.
Well, again, as I mentioned, just unable to really win any of those challenges, and they're in a situation where they can play a 2v1. Houston's just got one player on the ball, and he's got a chance there to play a two-man game and perhaps drag some of those players out, but they fail to do so.
Lapalainen, his first touch down the line, he's got to get there. The cutback is on, but Artur was there first. Franco sending long. Bassi to cause Waterman a problem. Controlled there neatly by Waterman and Saliba. Here's Waterman. Got the armband now. And back three. Down the line here for Ari Lassiter. Franco has won it back. Could Houston try and keep it here? Bassi's touch loose. Chouanier letting it run. Dorsey able to keep it there for the Dynamo. Baird now trying to press off of Saliba. Poked away for a throw into Montreal. Houston used all available substitutions. Montreal still have two. Looks like they'll continue with this team that's on the field right now. Is about played out from the back. 04. Broguiar. Sent towards Quioto, but it's a diving header away there from Ethan Bartlow. And Baird now. And Dorsey. Nice first touch. And plays it behind it towards Bassi, but not enough air on it. And recovered there by Waterman. Ben Olsen suffering with every touch. Wants to get this playoff business done here tonight. Quioto watching it, unable to control it. Goes out for a goal kick. See the stress on the face of Hernan Losada.
Just unable to get kind of Romell Quioto in some key opportunities, see key positions on the field offensively to really trouble goal. He had that decent half chance at the top of the 18. I should say it was a really good chance, but just unable to get his power or the accuracy to trouble Steve Clark. But it's been a challenging night for Romell Quioto and company, frankly, in that final third for Montreal.
04. Controlling it. And Lapalainen. Montreal wants something. They might need something. Lapalainen and Lassiter controlling for Saliba. Anywhere will do. Lapalainen now running at Dorsey. Going inside and out and inside and out, but his low cross was cut out there. Caicedo came flying across. He's suffering a bit late here as we approach the final minute of the 90. Being told there will be 6 minutes added at the end of the second half. Lapalainen towards Lassiter, whose cross is an easy header away from Adebi. Lassiter have a second bite at it, driven low. He's tried that cross a few times, but not enough of an angle to find fellow Montreal players, and Clark again claims.
Yeah, it's been that same direct path right to Steve Clark from that position for earlier Lassiter. He's got that strong left foot, but just unable to pull it across goal.
Just as far away from his own goal as possible there from Clark. Waterman. challenge. Campbell. Well forward here. Felt like he was tripped there by Bossy. The referee agrees. Free kick given. Confirmation from the fourth official of a minimum of 6 minutes to be added at the end of this game. 6 minutes for Montreal to get something from this. Chasing pack in the Eastern Conference. Getting some good results. Charlotte winning. Red Bull still hanging on to their 2-1 lead. Chouanier into the heart of the area. It's away from Adebi. Clear as far as Lapalainen, sent back towards the area. Saliba helping it on. It's got too much pace on it. It's going to run out for a goal kick.
And you have to give a lot of credit to this Houston back line for just really clearing their lines, and Adebi being one of those main components there in that central defense alongside Harlow. Barlow have done such a good job of really getting to that ball first. Decent cross into the box, but Adebi just so solid with timing and the ability to get the ball out.
Fans, don't forget you can catch up on all the night's action on MLS Wrap-Up Live immediately after tonight's matches here on MLS Season Pass. Houston Dynamo have not made the playoffs in their last 5 seasons. They have not made it in 8 of their last 9. This result holds. They will make it in 2023. Broguillard and Hadebi's touch. Waterman just letting it bounce in front of Lassiter. Now Bossy going to try and win it off him. Free kick given. Referee just trying to make sure that there's any more time-wasting tactics. Campbell. Waterman. Center back's trying to get some impetus going for Campbell, driving all the way. Baird holding him, and it's going to be a yellow card as well for Corey Baird. And a free kick in a decent crossing position here. As you said, Greg, is the cross the wise move here, considering how good Houston have been defending their own box?
Yeah, they've done such a good job of clearing their lines, and this becomes a more challenging cross because it's just from a shorter distance, so the ball's going to come into that area quickly. I think Montreal's got to do a better job of just getting across goal. We haven't seen enough of that committed runs to make it challenging for the Houston defenders. Got to get deeper into that area, almost as if you can whip this ball in just around that 6-yard box.
Chouanier towards the back post. Oh, 4! Was the first to it, but couldn't keep his header down.
Oh, it's a better ball because it's deeper. It challenges Steve Clark to stay or to go, and he opts to stay on his line. And 04 is able to rise up, but just able to get it down. He's got a good clear look too, doesn't he?
Steve Clark will take his time over this goal kick. Every available trick in the book. Placing the ball, replacing the ball. Putting it as far forward as possible. Baird to try and win it, but Saliba nodding it away for a throw to Houston. More time off the clock. More hope being lost in Montreal's attempt to make the playoffs. Baird. Broguillard's won it, but now he's got to figure out the next spot to play. It's off of Smith and away for a throw. And Olsen watching in his technical area. Hoping his side can confirm their place in the playoffs. They'll be in second at the end of this game, and they'll hope for good results elsewhere. It's a poor ball from Campbell. Caicedo high. Saliba forward. Bartlow clearing lines yet again. Just about 90 seconds remaining. Waterman. Broguillard and Ibrahim now running at Escobar. Another cross in, another clearance from Hadebi. This one slightly less convincing. It is away for a corner to the home side.
Well, Hadebi's been so good in the air dealing with balls. This one comes to the lower part of his body. Unable to get it right. He may have to come up again with another big header here.
Chouanière. Another surge of noise to the ground. Into the near post, comes all the way through. Franco away. And Lapalainen cutting onto his right to have a strike. 3 in the way. Lapalainen still! Has drawn Montreal level at the death! It could be a vital point, and they're pushed towards the playoffs. And Lassi Lapalainen has summoned a wonder strike to give Montreal a lifeline.
Houston side have been so good tonight, just clearing their lines. And I mentioned how they're going to have to be big once again. And Debbie has an opportunity here. He just can't get the timing right to get this out. It's a good ball in. Lassi Lapalainen has a chance first to trouble goal, but you know he's never going to get it through there with the 3 players collapsing on him, but it falls kindly to his right foot. And he hits a wonder strike, as he said, Chris, into that far corner. He's got time to eye it up. Here's his first attempt where he's got all kinds of bodies. Lassi Franco in and around him, but it just falls kindly to him. And Lassi Lapalainen, as you say, it's that valuable point for this Montreal side. You can see Hernan Losada is just exhausted. Emotionally knows the toll is taken. He also knows that this game was there for him perhaps earlier to even give himself a chance to try and get those valuable 3 points. But the way this game most likely will end, that point could be valuable going down the line.
Now, in the midst of the celebrations, there was a pitch invader that came onto the field. And now, after a brief check, the goal is confirmed, and that was the final kick of the game. Hernan Losada still felt like there was time left, but Montreal have clawed back a point. It might not be what they needed, but it could still be a huge point in their push towards the playoffs. Lassi Lapalainen with the goal, with the last kick of the game, and it finishes Montreal 1, Houston 1.
Yeah, at the death, and as you said, could be a game-saving point for this team, and a saving point for them perhaps to get them in the playoffs. They're still going to have 2 games, difficult matches, one here on the weekend, and then, of course, finishing off in Columbus. But this Houston side played a heck of a game, and you thought it's all but done there in the end, and then Olsen knows that his team would have punched the ticket with those 3 points, and now he might have to get a little bit of help, but still potentially could punch his ticket at the end of the night to get themselves in the playoffs. And Hernan Losada, I think, realizes, though, that this was a game they really needed and doesn't want to have to rely on others, and also knowing that his team is going to be under a little bit more pressure going into the weekend once again.
8th in the live table now. They do have the all-important wins tiebreaker over a lot of their competitors for the final playoff spot. So 8th as it stands right now for Montreal. Again, games to come. Home with Portland, away at Columbus Crew. Their final 2 games of the season. That Saturday game now of massive importance. Houston will have to wait to confirm their place in the playoffs. They can still make it tonight if Dallas lose or if Minnesota lose or draw away at LAFC. As we now get to our moment of the match presented by J.C. Penney at the conclusion of this one. It might not be a ton of joy in the face of Montreal players, but it is still a point. It had to be the goal from Lassi Lapalainen.
Yeah, it was Lassi Lapalainen, of course, that saved this team really. That desperate point that they were looking to earn at least that point. And they obviously wanted more, but they'll take it as he does that moment at the end of the match.
And that is the moment of the match presented by J.C. Penney. CF Montreal clawing back a point to move up to 38 points at the close of business tonight. Might not be what they wanted, but it's what they got as it finishes. CF Montreal 1, Houston Dynamo 1, post-match on the way.